Good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. This video is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, make your own decisions. All right, guys, so I felt compelled to do a video because of all the insanity that's happening in the crypto market right now. So from what I saw, it looked like Bitcoin had set new lows. That was on Coinbase. Now, who knows where the price is going to be by the time this video uploads? It's around 18K right now. The reason that I mentioned that is because, talking about Bitcoin setting new lows, because it would be a significant event. It would be historical in all reality because the amount of indicators that have already shown would all be invalidated. Some of Bitcoin's, the Puell multiple, the Pi cycle bottom, right? The RSI being the most oversold ever, where it was along with its moving averages relative to previous times in history. So a lot of different indicators are technically invalidated now that Bitcoin has set new lows. Now that's what I saw on Coinbase. So I just assume that carried true across other exchanges as well. Now, something that's very important, and just pause on the FTX situation for a second, is that a lot of analysts are going to be coming out and saying that, because of this, I'm selling everything and so on and so forth, right? And I'm already starting to see that with a lot of popular influencers. And guys, in situations like this, I just go back to, you should, in times like this, you should rely on your investment thesis, your plan, your strategy, and what it is that you feel like is best for you. I've talked through this very situation, not a FTX type situation, but us going to new lows. We've talked to this at length. Now, for me, I saw this playing out through dollar strength going higher. That's how I saw Bitcoin setting new lows, if it was going to set new lows. All right, so technically we had, to some degree, you could call this a black swan event. And I have a lot of questions and skepticism about the events that have unfolded over the last few days, but I'm not going to dive too deep into that because I'd have to speculate too much. I would just want to remind everybody that for the most part, most everything you hear about crypto is a lie. At the end of the day, you've been exposed to what this really is. You've seen you've seen a lot of the information, enough to be able to draw a conclusion on what it is that you believe is going on. Forget about what it is that you or I believe. I mean, the people in charge are just laying it out, okay? And they're just openly stating, this is what's going on, this is what this is what the future is going to look like. So that really shouldn't even be a contentious subject. But it is, because we've got so many people that just deny the reality of what's happening with us. But, all right, all that to the side. Does what is happening with FTX or with the market right now, does this in any way change the big picture outlook for Bitcoin and crypto and for blockchain? In my opinion, no. We just saw a similar type situation play out with two different exchanges. Well, I call it Celsius an exchange, but more or less. Celsius and Voyager and Three Arrows Capital. And what happened immediately after all of that? All the largest corporations in the world just continued to adopt the technology. I mean, here recently, these are core positions of mine, okay? Core positions of mine. Polygon, Disney, Starbucks, Facebook, JP Morgan just did their first transaction on Polygon. Chainlink, adopted by Swift. And then just the other day, Deutsche Telekom and T-Mobile working with Chainlink on some Web3 development project. And then Algorand's sponsoring the FIFA World Cup, and FIFA Plus Connect is on the Algorand blockchain. The FIFA World Cup, I think, is in like a couple weeks. Those are just recent examples of three different core positions of mine. So when I'm watching that play out with companies I'm invested in, all this other stuff is just noise for me. Now, it might not be for you. And just to rewind, about 6 months ago, I said you really need to make sure that you have, because what times like this does is it exposes people's conviction level. And it's fine not to have 100% or a 99% conviction level. That's perfectly fine. There's plenty of things that I don't have an extremely, extremely high degree of conviction on. Certain stocks, for example. Okay? So everybody's conviction level will be different, but it is important to be honest with yourself about your own personal conviction level. If you're not honest with anybody else about it, just be honest with yourself about, okay, what is my real, if I had to put a number on it, 1 to 100, what would I put that as? Because in times like this, that will be tested. And if you don't have Real conviction, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have an investment thesis, you're just kind of going day to day based on the new scary thing that's happening. So I always go back to the same thing. This is the new system. They're going to continue to implement it. And then in situations like this, I ask myself, did anything that just happened, anything at all that just happened, cause me to think that it's any less likely that they're going to essentially add a whole new tech infrastructure to the current web? And I always come to the same answer. No, because I have no evidence to suggest that they're going to stop. I have no evidence to suggest that this is not going to be the new system. And so that's just all there is to it. I have mountains and mountains of evidence that tell me this is the new system. It's in implementation right now, and it's not going to stop. And I have exactly zero evidence to the contrary. So I operate off of evidence, facts, and data, and that's it. So I have a thesis, and then as long as the thesis stays intact, I follow my plan. Now, my plan for me is just dollar cost averaging into companies that I believe in. Now, I know dollar cost averaging is kind of a radical thing these days, but I mean, that's just a standard investment practice that has been used for many years. Okay? I have no interest in trying to time the market at all. I've said this many times. So, in times like this, three things will be essentially put to the test: your conviction, your thesis, and whatever plan it is that you have. And so you should do what makes the most sense for you and make the decisions you are most confident in. And in my personal opinion, have your capital allocated in places that you have the most confidence. I have an extremely high degree of confidence with where I have all my capital allocated. Now, some other people may not have that same degree of confidence and conviction with certain investments in crypto. That's perfectly fine. But a big problem in times like this is that the people that do not have that degree of confidence and conviction go to the people that do and try to make them wrong for what they're doing. Like I've already had a couple people do here. It has nothing to do. It's a matter of I am 100% confident in what I'm invested in, and you're not. And that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, you might ultimately turn out to be right. All these companies might fail. The entire new tech infrastructure might be scrapped. Even though they've destroyed the old system and they spent years and years and untold amounts of money and time and manpower to get all of this developed, first just to get it to create and develop the technology. And then the big project starts, which is actually implementing it all over the world, which is what they've been doing for the last 18 months. So maybe they're going to scrap all of it. Maybe this whole blockchain thing is just going to be thrown out the window. In which case, that individual, you'll have some merit to what it is that you're saying. But I just need the evidence to suggest that that's even a likely outcome here. And I just don't have it. I have mountains of evidence to suggest the contrary, including many examples that I just listed off. Polygon, Disney, Starbucks, Facebook, JP Morgan, Chainlink, Swift, Deutsche Telekom, T-Mobile, Algorand, FIFA Plus Connect is going to be on the Algorand blockchain. The FIFA World Cup, I think, is in a couple weeks. And these are just several examples of 3 different companies I'm personally invested in. So that's what I'm watching. So whatever's happening with FTX, it is what it is. It has nothing to do with what I'm invested in, other than what's happening with FTX will cause, what we're being told is the reason why the market is doing what it's doing. But at the end of the day, guys, all this other stuff, I don't get caught up in the mainstream narratives and all the things that mainstream crypto is talking about, because for the most part, mainstream crypto is there to lie to people and to deceive them about what this is. And unfortunately, it's going to take all of this playing out for people to realize that. And that's perfectly fine. Time is on my side. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. As this develops, I'll probably do another video or two. I just wanted to get a video out because it looks like Bitcoin has set new lows. So that's it. Doesn't change literally anything for me because I just talked about this very scenario for the last 2 months. Let's walk through this. Let's talk through what happens if Bitcoin drops down and so on and so forth. I'm surprised that Bitcoin did hit new lows, assuming that is definitively the case, while Ethereum is where it is, and while a lot of other alts are where they are. Now, a lot of other alts have been slammed today. But it's surprising to see Bitcoin hit new lows with Ethereum is where it is right now. I just did not expect to see that. I mentioned this several different times. I said it was 100% possible. It would just be strange to see that. So those are my thoughts, guys. Doesn't really change anything for me. And I have no real care or concern, to be honest with you. But I understand why people do. And that's why I just continually reiterate that you should make the decisions that are best for you. And that's that. Take care. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next video.